welcome everybody. It has been a while, and by a while I mean I think it's been a couple weeks since I've done one of these. I apologize. I've had other things going on. I'm sure you all understand. You're all busy. There's a pandemic, I'm told. So today I am joined by John Nellen, and he just informed me that his last name is a palindrome. It is spelled the same way, forwards and backwards, and I didn't even notice until he said something. So, John, welcome. Thank you for being here today. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
Absolutely. So, John is with Todyl, Todyl, Todyl,
Total.
Total.
A play on words for complete. Holistic. Total.
Well, I mean, I get that, but it's
Yeah.
Todyl.
We spent probably at least a week, maybe more, going through available domain names, trying to get everything to fit. This was the closest that we could probably sneak away with, still being able to pronounce total.
So there's a street nearby. It's Gent Road, Ghent, and I a few years ago decided I'm going to start calling it Fent Road because if things are tough and rough, why can't this be Fent Road, right? So, are you doing that to us? Are you trolling everybody with your name?
No, no, we were trying to connect it to the core of our brand,
Okay.
and that's just the spelling we came up with. And yeah, I mean, sometimes we hear it. Hopefully, as we continue to grow, more and more people have heard about us and know us, and will just know us as Total.
All right. So, your website, I mean, it kind of explains what you do. So I'm going to tell you what I think you do, and you're going to tell me how
Okay.
wrong I am.
Okay.
So you guys are a networking company.
Well, I mean, we're a networking and security company, right?
Okay.
So our goal is to start to pull together different aspects of networking and security in a single platform. That being said, the core of it is called SASE, which is an acronym for Secure Access Service Edge. We've been around for a few years. Gartner kind of coined that in November of last year. So that's what the market term is these days. But SASE is effectively the confluence of networking and network security together in the cloud.
All right. So why don't you explain to me exactly what you guys are offering people then? Because
Sure.
excuse me, your website mentions you've got a firewall, a VPN, zero trust, and I feel zero trust is so confusing to me because I'm a very literal person. I said literal, not liberal, although some say I'm that too. Zero trust. When I hear zero trust, that means I don't trust you one bit.
Mhm.
And I don't know you very well right now, John, so I don't trust you one bit. So that's good that we have zero trust. But the fact that your service has zero trust, I'm not sure how I feel about that. Because I feel like whoever invented that term is doing it wrong.
Yeah, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the term came from Google's microsegmentation,
Hmm.
right? Where the idea was that you could have pockets of infrastructure, microsegmentation, and heavily controlled and granularly defined segmentation for access to those resources. I think what makes it a bit of a challenge is people implement zero trust in different ways using different technologies. And yeah, no, no, I totally get that. So usually when I explain Total, the easiest way to think about it, right, is that we have these data centers or points of presence across the world, and every tenant. So we're a channel only company. Only sell to MSPs and MSSPs. So our platform is purpose built for multi-tenancy um, and streamlined operations and a lot of other things. But I'll get back to the point where each tenant basically gets a VLAN that wraps across all of our global data centers, right? security is baked in, meaning that you have firewall, IPS, IDS, secure DNS, proxy, SSL inspection. But then the way you connect to it is you put a piece of software called SGN Connect. We call it the Secure Global Network on devices. You open up a tunnel, right, to this global VLAN that each tenant has, and then each device gets its own IP address, right? So it's effectively moving the corporate network into the cloud, right? So it no longer requires hardware in the office. It doesn't matter where people are located. It gives you a centralized control of the network and networking security from that. We have additional features as well, such as SIEM, that are baked into the platform, and GRC, governance, risk, and compliance, starting to bring in additional elements too. But yeah, the core foundation of it is that SASE platform.
Okay. So I see also on your technology page that you have no VMs, no appliances, no setup.
Yeah, well, I mean, no setup.
Is that just
There's
front end?
obviously some setup.
Oh yeah. So again, zero trust right here, John.
I like it. I can appreciate it. I appreciate it. Yeah, no, it's a completely SaaS solution. So no VMs, no hardware. It's just software that goes on the endpoint.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I see you have a SIM. I assume you have a SOC as well.
Well, it's automated, so we
Okay.
don't offer stock services. We're just kind of a platform company.
Okay. Good to know. Um, all right. So who needs this? What MSPs give me some use case or some case studies, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. So we really excel with a distributed organization or when you're dealing with unmanaged networks, right? So if you think about home networks, think about co-location spaces, maybe like a WeWork, right? People working in shared office space, your road warriors, people on the go. Maybe there's, satellite offices in different locations with a single headquarters. All of those, kind of different architectures and different needs can be addressed simply with Todyl, right? Our typical deployments and how it works and what we see are, again, those distributed organizations or unmanaged networks where you could deploy Todyl across those devices, right? They all connect to that single cloud network, and it eliminates the need for, networking complexity, complex VPNs. You don't have to backhaul traffic to a single location to have it go out again. And we consolidate a lot of aspects of the security stack as well, right? So if you look at the different functionality that we offer. So things like secure RDP or secure DNS, SIEM, any sort of VPN products. A lot of these get consolidated into that single platform.
Awesome. All right. So what types of companies do you have using your stuff? Because I mean, I think I saw or you mentioned government. So
Yeah, I mean, and what's great about Total is, it allows partners to scale down to individuals who may be, like a solo law practice, right? And be able to deliver complex, comprehensive networking and security services to them, all the way up to companies with thousands of employees, right? So we help solve the size challenge that comes with it. Also, our partners have us deployed across an extremely broad spectrum, honestly, of industries and verticals. Things from 911 call centers, local government, law firms, credit unions, oil, gas, and energy. The list goes on and on. It's more just based on how the organization is configured, where employees are located, and what the needs are, more so than what our technology can address. Total is, it's kind of like a Swiss Army knife for connectivity and protection, and distributed architectures.
gotcha. Okay. So what kind of MSPs partner with you today? Do you have any like restrictions or rules, guidelines?
No, we're pretty open. It's just anyone who reaches out to us.
Any fees to become a partner?
Well, we have two different plans. we have a pay-as-you-go plan, which is more of like a starter package, and then you have a commitment option that when you're ready and depending on the size and volume and pricing and economics that you can step up to that. But yeah, I mean, we designed it so partners of any size can come work with us. We try to make it easy.
Awesome. And um, what if some company reaches out to you, decides they want to just go direct?
Yeah, we refer them to a partner in the geographic region. So we don't go direct.
So if uh, this little company, you might have heard of them, the NSA, if they reached out and said, "Hey, we need your tool," you'd make them go through, some MSP out of Virginia or DC or something.
Honestly, yes. Especially with a government organization like the NSA, they would be much better equipped to handle the RFPs and everything else. It would be
What
a much better match.
what if Apple reached out? Tim Cook calls you and says,
Yeah.
"John, I need your service."
Yeah. I mean, I get the hypothetics. We just, our focus right now is on our partners, and we're
Okay,
going to continue down that road.
you hear that, Tim? Don't call. He doesn't want to talk to you. Um, all right. So the reason I ask is because there
Sure.
are a lot of vendors that say they're channel only, and then you find out they're not channel only. They'll sell to anyone that wants to open their wallet and give them, money. Because, you know, I don't blame them. I mean, they're in business to make money, but
Right.
it's also a little disingenuous when some of these, and I'm not going to name names. I'm not here to
Sure.
bash other people. I know you're not either. I just, I want to make sure that when you guys say you're channel only, that you are actually channel only. All right. So I also see that you guys do white labeling.
Yeah, so I think that's part of being, an effective partner, an effective platform for MSPs and MSSPs is, giving the ability to white label the software. So you can upload your logo. The software itself will reconfigure so that it's, your logo being displayed to all the users. It's valuable screen real estate too, right? Having, customers make the mental association between a partner and keeping them protected, and we can definitely appreciate that. And we try to give as much flexibility as possible too, and different elements of reporting, white labeling, and things like that. We're
Nice.
still growing, right? We're still continuing to develop the platform, but it's definitely a core of what we do is allowing that personalization and white labeling for partners.
So is this something that's included? If we're a partner, we can just white label, or is there a fee included?
No, no, there's no fee like that at all. No.
That's another thing. I feel like an old man. Like, what really grinds my gears? Uh, so that's another thing. Like, there are a lot of these things like white labeling where some of these companies who are channel only
Sure.
will charge a fee to give you access to white label. And I understand if it's because they have to do a bunch of work, but if
Right.
all they have to do is check a box, why am I paying them $500 or $2,500 one time to have the ability, the privilege of being able to white label their tool? If they want me to sell it, then they're gonna let me white label it. Is kind of where I'm at. Um, so I appreciate that you are. It sounds like you're really doing what you can to take care of MSPs. And I even see, one more way you're taking care of MSPs. You have a referral bonus, so we'll get a discount on our next month's service if we refer another MSP and they deploy a customer.
Um, that's on the site? Yeah.
It sure is.
Okay. Then we have
He's
it.
like, wait, what? We're changing that as soon as I. So you refer an MSP once they deploy their first customer. It's not like it says you get the whole next month free. It says you get a
Sure.
discount. It's probably like, here's
Sure.
$5, thanks. But the cool thing is that again, you guys are understanding that we MSPs, we kind of stick together, right?
Yeah.
And as crazy as it sounds, we kind of work together. We help each other, and there are some MSPs that will um, tell every other MSP in their area to go pound sand. And I think I understand that to a certain extent. I mean, I wouldn't want to basically tell somebody that could be considered my competitor exactly how to run a business. Um, because if they can't figure it out, maybe they shouldn't be in business. But, I also think it's fair to say that MSPs, they don't hear of every single software tool that's out there. I mean, gosh, think there were probably 5 or 6 years ago, there were IT consulting companies, not MSPs, that didn't know there were tools out there that were like RMMs. They were still using LogMeIn,
Wow.
and that just hurts my heart.
Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely a strong sense of community.
Yes,
It's something that we appreciate.
very good. So, so tell me something else awesome about your company, John. I mean, why don't you educate us more about not necessarily the software and the product, but
Sure.
why Total?
Yeah. So my background, I've been in, networking security for probably over 15 years now. Last job I was in, the enterprise space. I ran security and technology for a multinational HR services company. And, over time, things are getting just, more complex, more expensive, more fragmented, especially in the product space, right? There was just more and more niche solutions that were popping up. Um, and that's fine for the enterprise, but I felt like it didn't need to be that way, right? That there was, a better way of doing it. And we used to, build some stuff internally, purchase from vendors, used a ton of different outsourced services, right? But I really want to try to solve that problem. And I think who that affects the most is the SMB channel, right? Where, the enterprise products aren't well designed for the small business, right? Both from the capability standpoint, configuration standpoint, integration standpoint, economic standpoint, the list goes on, right? So basically started with a blank slate and said, you know what, instead of like a lot of other companies who come top down, they build something enterprise first, then they chop it up or simplify it and kind of move it downstream. Why don't we take a look at what it looks like to move from the bottom up, right? What do small businesses truly need right now?
You can ignore that. That's
Okay.
fine.
Okay. Yeah, so that was essentially the catalyst for it, right? And there were changes that I appreciated, and we kind of centered a solution around, which was the rise of the unmanaged network, right? Where I would say that Wi-Fi at this point in a lot of major metropolitan areas is pretty ubiquitous, right? Whether it be from public, whether it be from someone else's router that's broadcasting, you can log in with your ISP creds to like a shared office space like I'm in now, and I'm excited for 5G, right? Because that's kind of the next evolution of it, and just thinking about okay, well, in an always connected world, right? It's not really centered around location. How do you protect that? How do you maintain the control of a perimeter without having a physical one, right? And then how do you continue to secure and protect traffic when a lot of it's just going over HTTPS to SaaS services, right? So there's just so much evolution happening. That's tremendously exciting. That we're continuing to watch and build and create so that we can help facilitate the connectivity and security in a new world.
Very cool. So, I find it interesting. You are in a shared space, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not just you. I mean, Total has a team, right?
Yeah, it's shared office space, so we're in like a 4 or 5 story building, and then we have multiple offices inside of it. It's
Okay.
not just me, not just me.
Well, okay. So, I guess I want to clarify. You said something like a WeWork, and I guess I think of something like a WeWork as like co-working, where
Okay,
you could rent a room out of an office with multiple suites, but
right.
maybe a a web designer is in the room right next door to you, and you all have a
Right.
shared conference room and a shared printer and that kind of stuff.
Right.
So
Um,
that's what you're in.
I was using, yeah, shared office space and co-working interchangeably.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. So um, I find it really interesting that you operate out of office spacing. Um, I guess where I'm at is, I don't see a problem working from home unless,
Mhm.
you just had triplets and you need to get
Yeah.
peace and quiet. Um,
Sure.
and I don't see a problem with renting an office. I think that in my eyes, a network security type of company, what shared off like what if you print something out and it's got all of my information and the web designer picks it up? Like that's
Well, that's just a good, IT security program to have your controls in place and things like that. But being in a shared office space has a number of benefits too, right? One is that we're able to continuously test our product, right, and make sure that we drink our own champagne here at Todyl, and making sure it functions as it's expected to do, and always working on the bleeding edge of our software. But the other aspect too is for growth companies like ourselves. So we just moved from New York to Denver in July. And as we continue to hire, continue to grow, shared office space gives us that flexibility where we can, pick up additional spaces as need be. It's just, yeah, we've seen a lot of success with it. I think, it's interesting, especially with some of the, larger co-working providers and things like that. They're starting to almost do custom build outs. You can have, 500 employees, 1,000 employees, and things like that. It's almost office as a service, right? Which is seems to be the new trend as well. But yeah, no, it works great for us.
hey, that's cool, and I'm trying to play devil's advocate. I'm trying to ask
Sure.
all the tough questions so that way
Yeah. Yeah.
everyone thinks I've beat you up well enough so that way when they watch this they can have a better idea of if you guys are worth getting on your mailing list just to have a further conversation, you know.
Absolutely.
So you said you moved from New York to Denver, right?
Yep.
Which that explains why Total on LinkedIn says New York, and you on LinkedIn says Denver, I think. So, do you still have anyone in New York? Like, is
Yeah. Our VP of engineering is in New York.
so like
Obviously,
is headquarters still New York, or do you consider headquarters Denver now?
no, headquarters is definitely Denver. We all kind of moved within that July August timeframe.
So, July August was the move prompted by COVID.
No, to be quite frank, we were talking about this in December January of last year. And it really honestly it came down to use of proceeds and how best to use the capital that we've raised, right? New York is certainly an expensive city,
Certainly is.
and then on top of that, the talent that we need wasn't a great fit either, right? New York tends to be a lot of fintech. There's great talent there, but other areas like Denver and a couple of other places we looked had a lot more cyber talent,
Okay.
which better aligned with the goals of the company, and just the culture well of Denver really resonated when we brought it up, right? So the outdoor lifestyle, things like that, it seemed to be kind of like a unanimous excitement from the team, and we went forward with it.
Well, not to mention marijuana. Although, of course, as the CEO of a big cybersecurity company, I would never say it's your marijuana. It's just the marijuana, right? So, I every now and then I try and figure out how to take a Fight Club quote and mold it into what's happening at the moment. So,
Got
uh,
it.
all right. So, Denver, I gotta say, obviously there is, the growing marijuana legalization thing happening out there, right? So, I actually think that, um, honestly, that's an interesting area to be in. Just because not because let's all get high. I'm just saying because I think that you have an opportunity right now to work with some MSPs that maybe are focusing on um, companies that sell marijuana and figuring out maybe how can I use this software to capitalize on something that's just going to get bigger as it's legalized in more states. Have you looked at it like that at all?
Honestly, no. We haven't. Again, we're pretty industry agnostic, right?
Sure.
And really are just focused on our partners. I think there's, with everything that happened with COVID and work from anywhere and everything else, there seems to be a tremendous focus on that versus any specific industry, and that's where we focus a lot of our time and attention is helping partners secure and connect a lot of these newly distributed organizations.
Sure, and
Yeah.
I'm not saying to stop working channel only or anything like that. I just am
Right.
looking at this. I'm always trying to figure out. All right, is there untapped opportunity somewhere?
Sure.
And I feel like that is an industry that is literally in its infancy right now. I mean, it was it was black market before, and now it's going mainstream. And so I guess what I'm seeing is there's potential for you to continue to develop your solution to do everything that it's doing now and continue to make it better. But then there's also potential for you to develop your solution and work with some MSPs that maybe are focusing on that industry and say, hey guys, what kind of security issues are you seeing today? What kinds of things could I add to Todyl that would make your lives easier? That would make it better and safer for everyone in this industry? Because I think, are they still like a cash industry? Like I have no idea how that kind of stuff's working right now, but because it's still illegal at the federal level, I suspect that there are things that they need help with. I guess is where I'm at.
Yeah, this is really outside my area of expertise here.
He's like, please
It's
stop talking about pot.
no. Just to be honest, it's when we moved, it's probably not as prominent as you would think. I really haven't noticed, any strong presence compared to New York or other areas from that. But yeah, I mean, I think just to the core of what you're saying is listening to partners, right? Taking feedback and continuing to build and evolve the product based on the need of the channel and the need of our partners. So, that's something that I hope we do well, right? Whether it be through a support ticket, whether it be through our, partner advisory council, whether it be through just, raw feedback to myself or the team. We're in a continuous improvement cycle, right? And a lot of our partners reach out to me directly. Unfiltered, candid feedback is what we appreciate the most, so we take it to heart, and hopefully that's resonating within the partner base and everything else. But yeah, I mean, it's something that's a core part of the culture here at Total.
Well, good. So I just want to open this up. Anyone that's watching live, if you have any questions, feel free to pop them into the chat. All right. So is Total something like? Are you able to? I know this is an agent that gets installed on a computer, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
is this something where like you could share your screen and show me how some of this stuff works?
Um, sure. Through Skype.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I can click a couple magical buttons here and then they can see.
Sure. Give me 1 second here. Let's see.
Uh-oh, I think I might have lost you. There you are. You're waving.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Can you hear me? Yeah. I said, just yeah, if you want to pass over whatever you need.
So in Skype, there is a button that says share screen down on the bottom right there.
Makes it easy.
Yeah.
Let's see if I could just share my entire screen. Great. Are you seeing it?
I am, sir.
Okay. Right. So I'll walk you through the portal. Let's see. So this is the SGN Connect software. Mac, Windows, and you can white label it. So this is the section that changes. Title changes as well. This runs on Mac, Windows, iOS, or Android. Once you log in, let's go to like a demo account here. We have a lot of them. You're able to see the 10,000 foot view, right, across all the different tenants that you have. And the information is aggregated from the SIEM and from everything else that's happening. This is your overview where you can see the amount of data that's getting pushed through the cloud over time, number of incidents that are getting created, what those incidents are, transfer throughput and analysis, how many devices are connected, contact information for a specific tenant. We make deployment really simple and straightforward. You could just come into here. You could, download the software depending on what the operating system is. You enter a PIN. We have, 1 to 3 line scripts that you could use as well. Mac is, super simple, 1 line. And then once that gets deployed, devices automatically call home. They connect to the secure global network, and you have all of the information right here where you could see the types of devices that you have, where they're connected from, and everything else. Let's see if there's any devices. Yeah, so there's one. So you have a test device here. So you can see what the cloud IP address is. And the cloud IP address is an important aspect of this, right? Because you can actually do agent to agent communication, right? So imagine that you have, some sort of a file server on-prem, right? And you have, 50 people working remotely. You could just install Todyl on the file server, install it on the remote devices, and then they could use, RDP, any sort of CIFS, anything that they need between the agent, right? And that's all secured with the SGN. So all the connections are encrypted. You have, your firewall control and everything else. So it greatly simplifies network design, right? With the point-to-point aspect of it. Now, if you have, workloads running in the cloud, let's say that, workloads in AWS, workloads in GCP, Azure, anything like that, you can just open up an IPsec tunnel to the cloud as well, and then we'll automatically route traffic to any of those cloud platforms.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it kind of brings everything together. From the configuration section, from the SGN Connect options, you can control.
So hold on one second.
Sure.
I'm sorry. I just want to make sure I'm understanding this. So, oh, now that's weird. You're sharing.
Okay.
You're sharing.
Okay, I'm sharing us.
All right. So I want to make sure I'm understanding. So, normally in in an environment where maybe somebody's using Azure or AWS and they are needing a VPN or something to get access to maybe remote desktops or shared files, you're saying that instead of having to set up a VPN, they can use Todyl to kind of facilitate that? I mean, it's still creating the VPN, but what you're saying is Todyl will kind of make all of that happen automatically?
Correct. Yeah. So you can either connect the cloud environment using an IPsec tunnel to Todyl, or you could just install, depending on what the platform is, what the workload is, you can just install the agent on the VM, and then everything would run through agent to agent natively.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
actually really cool. All right, carry on.
Sure. Yeah, so you can control different aspects of the software. So you can actually hide it. You can, have it run silently. You can, prevent people from disabling it or exiting it, depending on, the needs of the specific customer. You have your content filtering, so everything that you would expect. So probably over 70 different categories, right? Or I guess more, 144. And what you can do is you can create allows, you can create blocks. You can have block list URLs, allow list URLs, really whatever you need to facilitate the content filtering needs for that specific tenant.
Gotcha.
Global firewall. So the firewall controls both traffic going outbound and then also traffic within the SGN itself. So zero trust in this case means that when a device is connected to the SGN, if policy doesn't exist, then those devices will not be able to communicate with each other. So you can set up very granular rules where you could say, like Steve's desktop and John's desktop cannot talk to each other except on this port, or who's allowed to access a specific file server. So you can really segment heavily and lock down both the east-west traffic and the north-south traffic within the SGN. We have another form of zero trust called LAN zero trust that I'll touch on shortly. So secure DNS. We have an integrated secure DNS that blocks, known malicious host names and things like that. And we actually, our security stack goes across the different layers, right? So if it's a trusted domain, right? So for example, there's been a recent increase of, threat actors using SaaS products. So for example, like malicious Google Docs, right? You can't block docs.google.com with DNS, right? So that's something that's the job of the proxy or the job of IPS-IDS to then come in and make sure that thread is blocked. But with secure DNS, we also integrate with on-prem Active Directory as well. So you can just install the software on the AD server, and then all the DNS and domain traffic automatically routes to it. So, domain updates, internal DNS resolution, all of that continues to function as it would, giving the same experience both in and out of the office.
Interesting. So, and again, I feel almost several steps removed from some of this stuff just because I'm not in it as much as I used to be. So I want to make sure I'm understanding. Okay.
Sure.
So, in today's work from home environment, Todyl is kind of making it so that way all of our computers that we install this agent onto can act as though they're all on the same network.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I could have my computer and my printer, and theoretically somebody could print to my printer, or not. They wouldn't be able to see my printer because it doesn't have an agent.
It doesn't have an agent. So in that case, if you needed to do remote printing, for example, in an office, then you would create a tunnel. And then what the tunnel does, so for example, from AWS or from the edge device in an office, it allows access through the SGN, right, to the LAN. And in that case, you can access IoT devices or things like that.
Okay. So it's a possibility, just not the agent method.
Correct. Exactly. Yeah.
So that's actually kind of cool as well, because now you're giving us several methods of accomplishing things depending on what way we need to do it. If I just have my laptop and I'm traveling to multiple places, it makes more sense for me to just have an agent. Whereas if it's an office and there's, an internal network, that's where we would create a tunnel and let Todyl, the cloud, the SASE, whatever you want to call your web app. We let your web app kind of create that tunnel into the office, and then that would allow the agents to be able to see that office as well, depending on how we configure the roles.
Exactly. Yeah. So depending on the architecture and the needs, again, it's kind of like a Swiss Army knife. You can set it up in different ways. Yeah.
Now, are we also able to control, I'm going to call it like internet access to computers that have an agent as if they were behind our own, I'm just going to say our own Sophos firewall appliance?
Sure. And that's where global firewall would come in, right? So you can control and implement policy for traffic going out to the internet, content filtering as well, and proxy. They all work for that. So the way that the Todyl solution works and what's cool about it is that a device in a tenant can connect to any of our global points of presence, right? So it doesn't matter if headquarters is in New York and then you have satellite office in San Francisco. They'll connect to two different POPs. And then we'll take care of routing the traffic between and the security and everything else. But when they go out to the internet, they reach the internet from whatever that local POP is, right? So it makes sure that there's lower latency compared to traditional VPN, and their geolocation is also updated depending on where they're located as well.
So how does the agent version of Todyl function if I were to go to Not that you can necessarily do this these days, but what if I went to Starbucks and decided to work from there?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's, always connected, always protected. It would open up a tunnel immediately to the nearest and fastest point of presence, depending on where that Starbucks is, and then you would route out to the internet.
So, and I guess the reason I brought that up is
Sure.
don't some restaurants and that type of stuff, don't they have restrictions on their own internet, on their guest Wi-Fi?
If you're talking about like outbound access, sometimes we use multiple protocols and ports and things like that. It's not been a problem. So if there is
Nice.
something blocked, we're able to circumvent that. Yeah.
That is fantastic, man. Kudos.
Thanks.
All right, now, I see you've got the content filtering and the global firewall, and you've even got secure DNS. Are
Yep.
there other features that I'm drawing a blank on from like a big bad UTM device that other MSPs might feel they need? Like, I guess what I'm really asking is, could I just use the cheap junky modem that my business class cable or DSL or whatever comes with, and let Total be my UTM, and just pay you your monthly fee and not have to worry about installing any hardware or firewall stuff?
Yeah. So short answer is yes, right? Typically, what we say is you just need a device that can do networking 101, right? So NAT, DHCP, VLAN, um, routing, DNS, right? So if that is from your ISP, great. If not, there's a number of very affordable hardware manufacturers where you can get those kind of 101 features and service sets to go ahead and implement it, and then Total does all the heavy lifting.
And with that, is there are there benefits and are there pros and cons to using Total as opposed to a traditional hardware firewall?
Yeah, I think there's a lot, right? So first is the breadth of services that we offer, including SIEM, the DPI SSL inspection. Some firewalls have that capability, others don't. LAN zero trust is something that we haven't touched on that I want to touch on real quick. But on top of that, you don't have to worry about where the users are located, backhauling traffic. And especially when it comes to resiliency, disaster recovery, challenges like that, right? Because if that organization is running Total, users just have to go where there's connectivity, right? And that kind of changes the way you think about your business continuity, your disaster recovery, right? And gives you a lot more flexibility in a lot of those areas. LAN zero trust is, something that a lot of partners are excited about. It's a cool aspect of the platform. But what it does is when you enable that, it doesn't allow that device to communicate with anything else on the local network, right? Unless there's an exception. So what it does is it solves the challenge of segmentation on the LAN, right? Segmenting the LAN is very difficult. You could do it with VLAN ACLs, and there are technologies to do that. However, it's something difficult, right? And with LAN zero trust, we start to simplify that. And if you think about a lot of today's threat vectors, right? Your ransomwares, your APTs, it's all about lateral movement, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're able to prevent those devices from communicating to begin with, it's a lot more difficult for lateral movement to happen, and it buys time, right, for partners to be able to respond and understand if something is happening.
Excuse me. I got a tickle in my throat. That's what I so here's the beautiful thing. I've got it's almost like we'll call it like a professional video switcher, right? Where I can
Okay.
switch between different scenes. So like right now people are looking at me and you. And I
Okay.
can I can click a button and it goes back to your screen with a
Okay.
little with a like you in a little circle. So you're talking and I'm sitting here eating M&Ms and nobody has any idea except for you. You could potentially be watching me eat M&Ms. But now when I cough because I've got the M&M tickle in the throat, now I've done it. I've gone and done it. So so I heard a lot of great things, but what are some cons to using Total instead of getting like a UTM firewall appliance?
Hmm. Yeah, let me think about that. I guess it would be familiarity, right, with that UTM. I think new technology takes some time to really learn. We try to simplify it. We try to streamline it. It's um, I think there is a bit of it getting used to, right, a new platform. Some of the aspects that we have too with DPI and SSL inspection and land zero trust, there's some care involved in configuring that. So if it's not something that's being used right now, it's definitely something that you want to canary deploy, you want to test, you want to put some TLC into getting those configurations right. But we have a global config and a tenant config, so you can kind of have a template, if you will, that would cascade across all of the tenants there. And then aside from that, perhaps some advanced routing features and things like that, depending on it, right? But that's really what comes top of mind. Our goal is to exceed the functionality, right, of the firewall and integrate other services like SIEM and everything else, and take out the complexity of multi-site VPNs and everything that's involved in it.
So, wouldn't wouldn't one concern, if we're trying to compare Total with a piece of hardware, wouldn't one concern be that, all right, well, maybe we've got 6 people here in an office, and then we got one person at home over there, 2 people that are married working out of this home over there. Are we creating more tunnels than necessary? Are we are we are we wasting bandwidth?
I would say no, right? Because I mean, if you want those other users to be able to communicate back or actually inspect that traffic, you need to backhaul it to the hardware anyway, right? So you're going to have those tunnels there, and then you're going to have, depending on the configuration, single point of failure. You're going to have to make sure that there's enough bandwidth for at that whatever that head office location is for everyone going through it. And then VPNs, it's interesting because unless it's always on and very super complex config, it gives the user, right, the ability to determine when they want to connect and when they want to be secured, right? So it's something like Total. It's always on. They're always connected. All their traffic's always inspected. So I think it's certainly a benefit in a situation like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, as I keep trying to find ways where your product sucks and I can't. It's pretty bad. Um, have you gotten any feedback of features that people wish you had, that maybe they're in the works but you don't have them yet?
So many, so many, right? And that's part of what I love about the community is I feel like it's a true partner, right? Who can call you and give you that feedback and work with you on implementing those additional features and what people want. It's something we pay a lot of attention to. So our roadmap is long, our ambitions are very high. This quarter, I can tell you some of the things that we're working on is a lot more features and functionality in SIEM. Our partners are going to see major overhaul in that. It's going to be very exciting, and a lot more integrations as well with different PSAs and other software is something that was top of mind for partners and is now top of mind for us that we're going ahead and working through. And then identity is going to be a big one too.
All right. Um, Very cool, man. Is there anything else that you think that people should see?
Um, within the demo, I would encourage people to kind of take us for a test drive. It's new. What's great about Total is it overlays, so you can just install it on a couple of devices internally at your organization, right? It's not like you have to rip and replace anything, and you can get a feel of it. There's a lot of breadth, a lot of great features, and yeah.
All right. I'm gonna give the people one more opportunity to drop any questions in the YouTube chat. And even if you watch this later, feel free to watch. I keep looking at the wrong camera. Hi, I'm looking at you now. Feel free to drop some questions in the YouTube chat. I can send them over to John and kind of facilitate that, because I know as an MSP, it really sucks getting stuck in a channel vendor's sales pipeline and getting those emails that you swear you unsubscribed to last time you got one, and they just keep coming. Right now, the one that I've unsubscribed from, 70, I want to say it's now 76 times. I started keeping track. Crackle. It's not even an MSP thing. You know that movie thing that Crackle. They won't stop emailing me. I hate everything about it. So, yeah, I gotta say I'm pretty impressed. So what's pricing like on this, John? I mean, we're talking about something that's kind of an agent, so $1 an agent, right?
Well, we try not to, share pricing publicly. It's what I would say is it's, less than $10 per device per month.
All right, guys, $9.99 per month.
No, it's less than that. It's less than that. Yeah.
And that's and how do you do pricing at least? If you won't share the pricing publicly, I get it.
Sure.
Is it like, so is there a price for an agent, and then is there a price for if we want to do like a network VPN tunnel? Like, is every little thing a price?
No, our strategy is we only charge for things that cost us additional money, right? So it's per device, per tunnel, and then we have some additional features and functionality like your SIEM data retention. If you want to retain that data for 30 days, 90 days, 365 days, there's additional fee associated with that. And mobile devices are a separate pricing tier. It's lower than a desktop or a laptop device. And that's, and then if you want the governance, risk, and compliance aspect of it, that's a separate SKU.
All right. So that, I will say, all sounds very reasonable. So I have not yet figured out how to do this any other way than by putting a message into the YouTube comments and then adding them to the broadcast. But here you guys have it. Todyl, TODYL.com. Go there. You can hit a button that says schedule a demo. I believe they even have a 15-day trial with no strings attached.
100, yep.
So I think, I mean, from what I'm seeing, it looks pretty cool. Okay, it looks cool. I want it. I don't even need it, but I want it. I like it. Okay. Are there minimums, like, to become a new partner? Are you like, well, okay, we'll let you be a partner, and it's under $10, but we need you to buy 15 agents?
It's just 5 agents for the pay-as-you-go plan.
Okay. And is there a minimum number of agents or whatever per network?
No, it's honestly just 5. That's it.
Okay. So I could have a network where it's really just an agent and a cloud thing, and we literally just have a one-person cloud, SaaS, whatever, and we're just paying that one fee. It's just we have to have 5 agents.
Yeah, it just adds five devices as a minimum. Yeah, and then you can use it across any tenants, any combination you want. We really try to keep it simple, and we try to be really easy to work with.
That's fair. I would say that similar to DNS Filter. DNS Filter has I think it's a like $50 minimum monthly spend. So I think it sounds like you're less than $50 a month.
Less than that.
All right, John. I feel good, man. Thank you so much for doing this. Are you guys staying safe over there in Denver?
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you asking. It was, thanks for having me. This was great.
Absolutely, man. If you ever want to come back and, go through this more extensively, or have a conversation about COVID or the Civil War that we may be having by the time you're back on, whatever you want to chat about, I am happy to have you on as a guest, man.
I love it. Appreciate that.
Absolutely, my pleasure. All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching this today. We will catch you at the next one. Check out RocketMSP.io if you are interested in getting resources or joining a peer group for your MSP. Check out Todyl or Todyl.com to get yourself the neatest software firewall I've ever heard of. Take care, everybody.
Bye.